All right, let's get right into this. We're going to be looking at a really different way to think about the lingering effects of complex trauma. Instead of just a psychological view, we're exploring it through a spiritual lens, almost like it's a kind of curse that, once you understand it, you can actually undo.
You ever have one of those days or weeks where it feels like life is just engineered chaos? Like no matter how hard you try to move forward, some invisible force just keeps tripping you up? If you've ever felt like a series of unfortunate events was almost intentional, well, this framework we're diving into speaks directly to that feeling.
So, according to the material we're looking at, some of the deepest impacts of trauma don't show up in any textbook or diagnostic manual. What's so powerful about this perspective is that it gives a name to these experiences that are often so hard to describe, framing them as soul wounds that have their own very specific, very real symptoms.
First on the list is this bone-deep spiritual fatigue. And this isn't about being tired and needing a good night's sleep. No, this is an exhaustion of your very spirit. It's that feeling where rest just doesn't seem to touch the sides, and you're left feeling constantly and profoundly drained.
Then there's what can happen when you're not even awake. The source talks about these heavy, recurring dreams, but they're not about your day-to-day life. They're dreams of ancestral struggles, of old wars, of deep betrayals. It can feel like you're tapping into a current of historic pain that feels strangely personal, even if it isn't yours.
You know this one? That weird pattern of just unexplainable bad luck? You have a conversation with a certain person and then, boom, things just start to go sideways. Your plans fall apart, you misplace something important, a project suddenly hits a wall. It's this cycle of chaos that feels eerily connected to certain people or interactions.
And maybe this is the most chilling one of all. This feeling of being haunted, but not by a ghost. It's the energetic presence of someone who is very much still alive. It's that sense that you're being influenced or drained or even watched from a distance, long after you've walked away from them.
So, what's the thread connecting all of these really unsettling experiences? The source puts forward this idea it calls the hijacking of trauma. The theory is that these aren't just random spooky events. They're actually rooted in the vulnerabilities that trauma itself creates within us.
And this is the absolute key concept: soul wounds. Think of it like this. Complex trauma can create these little openings or vulnerabilities in our energetic field. And according to this framework, those openings can then be used, whether someone means to or not, to anchor patterns of chaos, fear, and delay right into our lives.
And this hijacking isn't just a vague feeling. It shows up in the real world. Suddenly, the bus you absolutely had to catch leaves 2 minutes early. That critical email never arrives. A contract falls through at the last second. An ally you were counting on just ghosts you. You take 2 steps forward, and it feels like you're immediately shoved 5 steps back. It's a total reversal of any positive momentum.
Okay, so if these patterns are basically anchored into these soul wounds, how in the world do you pull up the anchor? How do you break the cycle? Well, the good news is, this isn't just about identifying the problem. It offers a clear path to actually dismantle it.
And that path is laid out in a really straightforward 3-step process. It's all about undoing these energetic patterns and taking back your own power, your own timeline.
All right, so let's break this down. Step 1 is to name the spell. This is all about the power of identification. It means finding those toxic beliefs that were put on you, not chosen by you, and calling them out. Using your own voice to say, that's a lie, that's not my truth, and cutting that energetic cord. Then step 2, seal the amygdala. The amygdala is described as your energetic core, your center of gravity. So this step is about reclaiming that center. It's about grounding yourself through things like breath work or visualization and sealing up those vulnerabilities so you're operating from your own energy, not being tossed around by external chaos. And finally, step 3, reverse the charge. This is where the magic happens. It's basically alchemy. You take the very pain that was used against you to create chaos and you transform it. You turn it into a source of your own clarity, your own wisdom, and your own power.
So this all sounds great, but how do we actually do it? Let's get practical. The source gives us a series of really powerful reflection questions to help you start crafting your own counter spells.
First things first, you gotta look inward. What are those old phrases that still play on a loop in your head? You know the ones. You're too much. You're not smart enough. You're just difficult. The first step is just to become aware of them, to name these inherited word spells.
Okay, now we look outward. Where does this pattern of things going wrong seem to show up the most? Is it always in your career, your finances, your romantic relationships? When you can pinpoint the main area of this looping chaos, you know where to focus your energy.
Now, let's connect the outside world to your inside world. When you're stuck in one of those chaotic loops, what's happening in your body? Does your breathing get all shallow? Do your shoulders tense up to your ears? This brings it all back to that idea of the amygdala, your energetic center, and helps you notice how it's being physically impacted.
This one is about taking inventory of your tools. What do you already do that helps you feel centered? Is it journaling, going for a long walk, listening to music, creating something? Recognizing what already works for you is so important because it gives you a foundation to build on for reversing the charge.
And here is the most hands-on, active step. You take one of those negative word spells you identified, and you write its polar opposite. And this is more than just positive thinking, okay? It's a conscious, deliberate act of rewriting the code that's running in the background of your mind.
And here is just a brilliant example of a counterspell. It takes that weaponized word difficult, and it just completely flips the script. It doesn't deny the experience, it reclaims the entire narrative. It says, hey, the problem wasn't me. The problem was an environment that couldn't handle me. Now that is powerful.
When you put all this work together, what you're really doing is making a fundamental shift in how you experience life. You're moving from a life that feels like a constant, draining battleground to one where you are in conscious, intentional alignment.
And this right here is the daily mantra suggested to really seal in that intention. It's so simple, but so powerful. My life is not a battleground. I choose alignment. It's a decision you get to make every single day to step out of the chaos and reclaim your peace, your timeline, and your power.
So we'll leave you with this question to ponder. This whole framework is really a set of tools for rewriting the stories that we've been told about ourselves. And the real power isn't in fighting the old story, but in consciously, deliberately choosing to write a new one, starting right now. So, what old story will you rewrite today?